don't want to waste the time of people who are on time. So we will start with the class. We will start talking about the new industrial policy. In today's class, yesterday's class, we finished with how the capital market and money market and all these work. Now, there are certain important things which we will talk in regard to India. So you will get an idea about the industrial policy, the economic policy, and especially for 1991, it was a groundbreaking year where a lot of changes took place in the manner in which India was doing things. So before 1991, we were quite closed in the way we were functioning. So there were a lot of problems which started coming up. So what
Ma'am,
happened? Yes.
good evening, ma'am, and everyone.
Okay, okay,
Ma'am,
yeah.
just I just made Isaac and one more Francis a co-host
Okay.
to help you during the meeting.
Okay, okay. Sure, sure, sure. Thank you, Smriti. Yeah,
Kindly continue, ma'am.
yeah. Okay. So basically, what happened was when we initially started, as I told you in the last class, that after independence we were trying to build the economy. So when we are trying to build the economy, we wanted to bring about security, and we wanted to give protection to all our industries and all the different sectors. But by the time we reached 1991, we thought that the policies which we were having at that point of time needed to be remolded, needed to be changed so that India could have more global standing. So that's why 1991, this particular year, is a very big transitional year in Indian economy, because the whole concept about Indian economy has undergone a change when we talk about the year 1991. So we will first come to what happened in the area of new industrial policy. Okay, so in the area of new industrial policy, we first have the industrial licensing policy. Now, when we talk about the industrial licensing policy, we had, we did not allow all the industries to come in. It was not that every industry was allowed to come into every sector. So you might want to join a particular sector, but the main thing was the government did not allow you to come into many of the sectors. So what they did over here in the new industrial policy, they opened up. They said, let other industries come in. So basically, earlier, any of the industries which were necessary for security, strategic reasons, environmental problems, etc., these industries needed licensing. Other than that, we generally said the other industries do not need a licensing policy. So we opened up the sector for many people to come forward and start investing and start doing a lot of new things. So except for three areas, these three areas basically were atomic energy. Second area was substances notified by Department of Atomic Energy, and the third area was railways. So except for this, later, it was only areas of atomic energy and railways which were reserved for public sector. So these three were reserved for the public sector. Other than that, generally, with some industry needed industrial policy, industrial licensing, but other industries, we said that you can come into production and you can start doing your own thing. So it was made much more easier. Earlier, everything was very strict, very tight, so it was very, very difficult to get things done. But after the new economic policy of 1991, new industrial policy of 1991, we opened up our area, and we brought about a lot of very good positive changes. The second area that we talk about is in this. The first is industrial licensing. The second that you talk about is foreign investment. So when we talk about foreign investment, we started automatic approval. So earlier we would not allow people from other areas to come in, but after the new industrial policy of 1991, we allowed people to come into India, and automatic approval, very fast approvals were given for foreign direct investment, and this was applicable for all the sectors. And some industries it was 100% also you could have foreign direct investment. So earlier it used to be very, very difficult to for people who wanted to invest from other countries to actually come into India. But here we just made it very easy, very simple. Procedures were made, that easily everybody who was interested and genuinely wanted to invest in India could actually come into India. And foreign equity we allowed till around 51%. So this was very major. So by this we could reach out to the world, and we could get investments, and we could get funding from all over the world. People from different countries who actually were very interested in investing in our country could actually go ahead. So before this it was quite a closed economy, but with this we started with opening our economy to all other sectors. The third was foreign technology agreements. Okay, so when we talk about foreign technology agreements, we say that you had to pay a loyalty for any technology which comes, and there was a certain percentage of exports also which had to be paid to these people. But still, these foreign technological agreements brought about a lot of new technology, lot of new ways of production into the country. And the fourth point over here is the public sector. So when we talk about public sector, we said that many industries were not doing well. So over here they were just dragging themselves, and they were not actually giving so much of output. So there was a problem that the government was putting a lot of money into these public sector industries, but at the end of the day nothing was happening. There was no output over here. So our resources, which were very valuable, were actually going into these industries. And suppose I said the government had some five public sector units. Now, suppose two units were doing very well, three units were not doing well. So from this five, these three units which were doing well, the extra money was taken and put into the sectors which were not doing well. So it was creating a lot of problems and disharmony. So they said that, see, if you're not able to do well, after we will help you out, but after a certain point you have to manage on your own. So what happened, the viewpoint which was there for public sector units also changed. So they started becoming more efficient. They started their production possible prospects, and there were some units which were just not doing well. So here also the government decided that it was no use continuing with these. So different steps were taken with regard to those units also. So even the public sector, which is the government sector, we started looking into whether it is helping the economy become better or not. So all these areas we started talking about, and we started seeing what could be done in the best possible manner. And the very important thing, I think this must be there everywhere, is Monopolies and Restricted Trade Policies Act. So this became very, very important because it helped the government to help the government and help the others to actually come into the country, and new undertakings, new factories, new industrial units could be uh, established, which earlier was actually a big, big problem. But we find that slowly over here this change took place, and it was a very positive change which happened in India. So it was revolutionary before that, how India was, and after 1991, how India became was very different. See, whenever we talk about independence of any country, initially we need to protect every sector of the country. If we are not protecting every sector of the country, initially, the moment we get independence, if we open our doors and let everybody come in, we are not strong enough to match up to them. So that's why, when before independence, the kind of policies that we had were equally important. Nobody is saying that that was not important. I will come to some of those policies also. So they were very important. But as we say that, if you talk about the small child, you have to hold the small child's hand, and then the child learns to eat on its own, dress up on its own, starts studying on its own. Then when the child goes to college, naturally the child is more independent, and after the child becomes an adult, he's able to manage on his own. So same is the concept when we talk about a country also, that initially when the country got freedom, it had to, it needed that support, and intensive support from the government, so that the systems could be in place. But by 1991, the economy had become strong enough to open its doors and say, yes, now others can also come in. We can provide the support, we can do our things also, and we can invite other people, we can have collaborations, we can have foreign equity coming in, we can have foreign investments coming in. So everything started becoming positive at this particular point of time. So that is how the economy has to actually grow. Okay, so this is a very, very important concept, if you try to understand how India has developed. So these have been steps, and now when we come to recent policies, I'll come to that also. So you'll find how different we are than what we were there in 1991 also. Okay, I hope this much is clear to everybody. I hope the industrial policy is clear, the main areas. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So next we come to the agricultural environment. So we know that without agriculture, so we come to the portion of agriculture in India, and we will talk about some of the very important things about Indian agriculture since independence. So if you see, agriculture is a very confusing and a very complicated area. Though we say that agriculture is the most simple area, it is not, because there are so many different things which are there. There are lots of economic consequences. There are a lot of social consequences, like you have something called as disguised unemployment. Yeah, anyone, if you could just write down if you understand what is disguised unemployment. It is very common in agriculture sector. Yeah, can any of you write down what you understand, if you have this term in employment in your country, what do you mean exactly by disguised unemployment? Yes, any of you? Because there might be some terms which we use more frequently in India than we use in your country. So that's why I wanted to know if you know the term disguised unemployment. Anyone? Okay. So I think it's not so commonly used there. So I think still is an employment that does not affect aggregate economic output. Very good. So let me just explain this concept a little bit more. In the context of India, I know what you have written is correctly working for someone but not legally employed. Um, you can say that, but when we talk about agriculture, you don't have a contract. At least in India, we don't have a contract like this. Now, let me just give you an example. Suppose this is a plot of land, and there is one farmer who's working on this land. Now, this farmer has two sons, and these two sons also start working on the land. Then again, these farmers have again two sons, and they have another three sons and four sons. everybody is working on this one piece of land. So what happens is, at the end of the day, you have too many people who are working on this piece of land, but the output is remaining the same. The output is not going up. So they are all working there because that is what they own, and they do not know, like, many of them would not be educated, many of them do not want to leave their homes and go outside to work. Okay, and even if they come outside to work from a rural area or a village, if they are traveling to a city to work, they are not skilled enough to get enough work. So then again, what problems start is, you start having problems with migration, and you start having problems with unemployment in the cities, because the people who are moving from these rural areas, agricultural based laborers, when they move to city areas, there also they are not getting work. So disguised unemployment is a very major problem, that where more than necessary people are working in a sector, and because they are working in that sector, they are not getting they are not contributing much. They're just there, but it's not leading to more amount of production, more amount of output. Nothing is happening over there. So this is the main problem when we talk about this. So these are certain things, like a lot of migration will take place. Okay, then of course, a very very sad thing is basically farmers suicide. Okay, so this also I will talk about, because we talk say it is the paradox of poverty in the midst of plenty. This is a very sad case when we talk about agriculture in any country. You know what happens is, unless you have a very strong food processing unit, or you have adequate amount of agricultural marketing storage facilities in your country, many times bumper crops, you see, we all want more agricultural production, but it might happen this more agricultural production is a problem for the farmers. So he has a bumper crop, and he has a lot of production and everything happening, but what is happening, there is nobody to buy it. For example, at a particular point of time, we say that there is an there's a bumper crop of onions, or there's a bumper crop of potatoes. What is happening over here is, the customers can only buy uh, a household. If I say, I can buy maybe 2 kgs of potatoes in a week, more than that I don't require. So even if the prices are going down in the market because of overproduction of potatoes, I cannot buy it. So what does the farmer do? Now he does not have place to keep it in his house, and even if he keeps it in the house, the time duration for which he can keep these potatoes is limited. It cannot be kept for a long period of time. So unless you have a very good food processing units, storage units, or something which is converting this into maybe your French fries and uh, wedges and different kind of things, but how much of that can you do? So ultimately what happens is, at the end of the period, the prices will keep dropping, and there will be a point where the farmer has to start sowing the seeds for the next session. Okay, for the next crop. And naturally, all of us know that this cannot be delayed. It is not that I can plant sow the seeds whenever I want to. I have to plant the seeds at a particular point of time. So what do I do with the previous crop which is still standing, which I have not been able to sell? So many times it happens that the farmers have to just burn their crops. And it is a very painful experience, because they have worked so hard and grown a bumper crop, but they're not able to sell it, or not able to get a decent price for it. So this is a big problem in developing countries, because we're still developing a lot of processing units, storage units, etc. But it still needs to become better. Okay, so this paradox of poverty in the midst of plenty means that you might have a bumper crop, but you might end up poorer than before, because the prices have gone down and you don't have buyers for your particular crop. Okay. I hope that was clear to everybody. Was the concept clear? Yeah. Can I have the rest of the people also responding? There are 48 people here. So can I see all the 48 people are responding to it? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're together. That
Yes. Yes, Khalid. Okay. Thank you. So now we come to the evolution of farm policies. This is very important. That's why I am. Yeah, Zohra, you have raised your hand. Any question? Please tell me. Any question? Zora, you can also type your question. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So, evolution of farm policies. So with that backdrop, I will come to how, we have tried to make situations better. I am not going to say that the situations have become like perfect. It is not perfect. There's still a lot of things which need to be done, but still, over the years we have tried to evolve our policies. So when we talk about the era of 1947 to 1965, now we got our independence in 1947, and when I was doing industrial policy also, I said that the first thing was to get the best for the people of India, in the sense that we should try to be self sufficient. And when we talk about self sufficiency, the first basic need, I think you all will be reading Maslow's need hierarchy theory also somewhere, so you'll find that the primary level has to be supplied, or it should be reached before you can think of anything else. So the primary level is food, shelter, and clothing. These are the basic necessities which a person will first look into completing. Only then he will think of anything else. So that's why when we start with the independence, we gained our independence in 1947. To 1947 to 1965, we talked about self sufficiency in the area of agriculture. So this was the main thing, that there should be food security. And of course, you know that even now when we talk about SDGs, zero hunger is a very, very important role. Even after such a long time, we still see that hunger is one of the main problems everywhere else. So it is a goal which everybody focuses on, all countries, all governments focus on it. And we are trying to bring about, not we as India, I'm talking about the entire world as such, is trying to work for zero hunger, that we don't have a single person who goes to sleep without eating food. And as I said, it is the first basic requirement of any economy, any culture, any tradition, any place, whether it is rural or urban, that there should be adequate food sufficiency for people. So the moment we got independence, we said that we should bring about zero hunger. Okay, so self sufficiency in food grains should be there. Now, after this, there's one very interesting system. This I will like to talk about. Maybe you all also have that, which was called as the Zamindari system in India. Okay, so Zamindari system is basically large landowners. So what happened was, before independence, we had these large owners who had a very huge amount of land. So they would just own all the agricultural land around it, and they would pay very, very little amount of money to the farmers who were actually working on that land, and they would just take away nearly everything from those people, in terms of rent, in terms of produce, in terms of everything. So that's why, even if the farmer was working quite a bit, he was not the owner of the land. The owners of the land were these large landowners, and this was called as a zamindar. This was the term which is used, that zamindars were in charge of these large lands. So when independence happened, at that time they said that we will put take the land away from these people. If they have excess land, they'll be compensated by the government. So a certain amount is given to them, but we set a upper limit to land holdings. Okay. So we said you cannot have, an individual cannot have more land than a particular amount. So here, what happens is now the land becomes redistributed and goes to all the other people who are there. So even people who were, for example, if a person was working on that land for a very long period of time, then there was a possibility that the land would go to this person. So this was a very important step taken by the government to abolish the zamindari system and redistribute land. Okay, so this was the first era which we talk about just after independence. Then second period that we talk about is 1965 to 1980. Again, very important, because here we talk about green revolution. And green revolution in India is extremely important, because before this we were using all traditional techniques and of production. So even though we had a lot of people working in agriculture, the output of agriculture was not that great. But what happened as a result of green revolution was that lot of uh, output was generated, because green revolution was about innovative techniques to increase crop productivity. So what we talked about was, if you can get better finances, you can get better irrigation, you can get better fertilizers, better quality seeds, and because of this, so we called it as HYV. HYV, high yielding variety of seeds. So here you had, the best quality of seeds being given to people, and that's why we came to increasing your agricultural production. See, if you're using traditional methods, and all the traditional methods are good, I'm not saying that, but naturally, if you're getting better quality seeds, you're getting irrigation facilities, so you're not so dependent only on rainfall, you're getting better irrigation, naturally your output will become better. Instead of using bullocks, if you can go on to using a tractor, naturally you are improving technology, and it will lead to better output of better production. Then after that, we have the phase of 1980 to 1991. Okay, so 1980 was also a focus on other areas. Okay, so here, if you see till here, we were more focused on only agricultural produce, but after this we came to allied agriculture, like fruits, different kind of vegetables, poultry, pisciculture, sericulture, all these kind of different things came into work when we talked about 1980 to 1991, because we started focusing on allied agriculture fields also. So the diversification went from promoting green revolution, getting very good bumper crops and better outputs, and moving then to other allied services of agriculture, like better quality fruits and vegetables, and for India, mangoes and guavas, and so many different kinds of fruits and vegetables are internationally extremely well known, because we give best produce in those areas: pepper, cardamom, and spices, and so many other things. So we started focusing on different areas also. So after this, the last era is 1991 onwards, which we are still continuing. And if you say over here, the most important thing which happened was that we started talking about the PDS, that is public distribution systems. So, what is the PDS system? It is basically the ration shops which are there, where we give the basic things like rice and sugar and pulses, etc., to poor people, at a highly subsidized rate. So this, initially everybody used to get a ration card, so anybody could go and buy this, but then they started with targeted PDS system. Okay, TPDS. So who were we targeting? We were targeting the poorest of the poor. That's a very important way of doing things in India, that we always want to cater to the poorest of the poor. So we should see that those people get enough food to eat, they are able to survive, the facilities go to them. So this is what we talked about, and we first national agricultural policy came in 1991. So I just wanted to know, before I continue, that what kind of public distribution system do you have? A public distribution system for food grains in your countries? Um, Let me ask you all. So, what kind of systems do you have? Do you have ration shops and public distribution systems? Yes, Zora, your hand is up.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And in
So,
Malawi, we have
hmm,
what we call farm inputs subsidy, where the
okay,
government subsidizes
okay,
fertilizer and seeds.
hmm,
So it is
okay,
given to the people who cannot afford to buy. So it's almost the same as in India because it's targeted to a particular group of people or families.
okay. And can you tell me, how do you decide on those group of people? Do you have to apply for it, or the government decides on it? Somebody else is also writing that subsidies on certain primary food items like flour and rice. Yeah. So, what about sugar and all? It doesn't come under subsidies for you all,
No, it doesn't.
or
Uh,
it does?
in the
Okay.
case of Malawi, it doesn't.
Okay, okay. Because in India, we the ration shops actually give you a lot of things, but um, it's difficult to find that there's only a certain amount which is available for people. Earlier, they used to also give kerosene and other things, but then because there was too much of problems and corruption, people were trying to sell it at a higher rate. Uh, with poor people also, many times this happens, that what they're getting at a lower rate, they try to sell it off at a higher rate in the market. So because of certain things, that's why we came to the targeted PDS system, where we said that we only, these people who are falling in this category of actually being poor will be given this facility. Everybody cannot be given this facility. So that's how we evolved the policy, because earlier everybody had a ration card, and anybody could go and get it. But then after 1991, they became very strict and identified that below poverty line people only could go there and get it. Okay. So after this, we as I said, that you started with 1991, you started with the different policies. It's heavily raining here, so I'm just hoping that I have enough light to have the classes. I'll try to connect, so please don't mind if by chance it disconnects. I will definitely connect back, because quite heavy rain is there. So I'm just uh, uh, letting you know about that. Okay. So now, when we come to the first thing, we talk about the first policy which we talked about was the national agricultural policy. So before this, it's very interesting that we did not have any agricultural policy. We were just making statements, but actually the main agricultural policy, NAP, came after 1991. Before that, we just were talking about different things which could be done and which is good for the agricultural sector, but a clear defined policy was not there. Okay. So here, the first one was, this was actually taken in the national policy for farmers. So this was basically that you give food security to the farmer's family. Now, many times what happens, whatever produces there, they go and sell it in the market, but they do not have enough money to run their own house or to eat properly. So the government policy was for farmers to get enough food for themselves, because if they're trying to feed the country, definitely they reserve food for themselves. Okay. Then we came to Essential Commodities Act. So Essential Commodities Act was basically against hoarding. So what happens when we talk about see, one way it is that it is difficult to actually keep things, but on the other side you'll find, if the prices of a certain commodity are continuously going down, it is an essential commodity. So what these people will do, the intermediaries, is they will hoard it, they will not release it in the market. So they will go to the farmers and purchase all the produce from them, but they will not sell it into the market. What they'll do is they will keep it till they are able to raise the price of the product. So if there is no availability of the product in the market, the prices of the product, essential things like potatoes and onions and tomatoes and ginger and all these basic things, you require them. So they will hoard it and they will not release it. So what happens is the market price goes up from maybe 10 rupees a kg to maybe 60 rupees, 70 rupees, 100 rupees a kg. And at that point of time, they will start releasing the stock in the market. So once they start releasing the stock in the market, they make a lot of money, but the farmers do not make money. So the farmers must have, I'll just explain. For example, a farmer might have sold onions for rupees 5 a kg. Now this person over here, this intermediary, has hoarded it and let the price go up and sold it for some rupees 50 per kg. So this whole price of this 45 rupees goes to the intermediary. It does not go to the farmer. So the farmer remains poor, and the people, the customers, end up paying much higher prices. Okay, so this kind of condition, they said, that Essential Commodities Act they brought in, that directly from the farmer it can come to the markets, and no amount of hoarding was permitted or allowed, and there was huge penalty if anybody was trying to increase the agricultural prices through this particular thing. Okay, so this was a very important thing which came into principle. After that, you have Agricultural Produce Market Regulation Act. In this is, I'll just write down, Agriculture Produce Market Regulation Act. This was APMC. So here what they said was that there were wholesale markets now established. So the farmers could actually come directly and sell their produce. They did not need intermediaries and middlemen to buy things from them and then go and sell it somewhere else. Here they could directly go, the farmer could directly go to the market and sell his produce. So this became a direct method and became much more easier to do. Yes, Sifo, I can see your hand up. Any other question?
I have a question here on the holding
Yeah.
part.
Yes.
From your explanation, it looks like that act was targeting the mostly middlemen who would buy from farmers and
Okay.
hold
Yeah.
farm produce. So, what if it was the farmer himself
Hmm.
who is holding? He has
Hmm.
harvested, and then he's not selling; he's holding.
Yeah.
Did the act included the farm himself?
Yes,
That
but
was my
what
question.
happens is, yeah. So for the thing is that generally farmers don't have the capacity to hoard, because if you see, uh, they are not able, as at least in India, they will not have the place to keep that much excess stock. So it is more the intermediaries who will start hoarding goods. So farmers generally um, uh, don't manage to hoard, okay, because the availability of place for them to put the stock is not there. So that may be very large farm owners, but as I told you, that kind of farm owners in India, after the Zamindari Act and all and redistribution has come down, so you'll find that hoarding is generally done by middlemen. It's not done by farmers as such. So, but the hoarding act applies to everybody. It's not that one person, but generally farmers do not have the capacity to hoard. It goes to middlemen. Okay. So when we come to this particular thing, here we started doing one very good thing, that we created these. They're called as mandis also in India. These mandis are places, they are wholesale markets where in a week, or in a month, like some depending on what kind of product, like for example, if it is fresh vegetables, then naturally it is once a week that you will have an area, or every day also you'll have an area where these people can come and they sell. So it's a full demand and supply thing. How much is the demand, how much is the supply, according to the prices are fixed, and these prices are fixed and they are followed by everybody. So it's not that some person is selling at some rate, maybe 1-2 rupees difference is there, but you will not find major differences in the pricing of basic fruits and vegetables. So if you see, I'm just giving the most common example, because in India, we consume a lot of potatoes and onions and tomatoes. So if you see, for these in the market, if the price is fixed in a mandi, if the price is fixed at 50 rupees, maybe they will be selling it for 55 rupees in the market, and generally everybody would be selling for around that rate. So it's not so much of fluctuations, but what happens is, because the farmers are now able and they know there's a place where they can come and sell, they get the correct rates. Otherwise, as I gave you the example, that we buy at a very low rate from them, and the person who gets the product is making all the profit, whereas the farmer is working but he's not getting the profit. It is coming only to the middlemen, and the customers are charged a very high amount. So to bridge this gap, a lot of wholesale markets, regulated wholesale markets, are regulated by the government officials. So there was a lot of regulated wholesale markets which came into being post 1991 policy. Then we have something which I think you all must be having, I would like to know, which is called as the minimum support price. So when we talk about the minimum support price, it is this is actually a very, very important and a very good concept, because we say that suppose there's a farmer who comes and wants to sell his produce. So suppose he can sell his onion in India. Normally this is the rate. So suppose we say that he can sell it for rupees 50 rupees a kg. Uh, but because there is a bumper crop, as I told you, that sometimes there's a problem with the bumper crop. So if we say that because of the bumper crop or because of the production, excess production, what has happened is that the price of this has fallen down to rupees 10. Now, this is very low for the farmer because he's hardly able to make any money. So, what the government will do is it will fix the price over here somewhere where it say that, okay, rupees 30. So, this is the support price I'm giving you. So, if you can sell it in the market for more, that is perfectly fine. But if you can't sell it in the market, I will buy it, the government will buy it for rupees 30. So that is the minimum support pricing which is given to people, and it is a very useful concept. Still, many times people don't make use of it or don't do it, but at least the policy is there, and a lot of people actually. A lot of farmers actually benefit by it, because if there is too much production and they don't know, as I told you in the beginning, what to do with the crop, they can go to the government, and with the basic minimum prices, the government will buy. But again, as I said, that if there is problem of storage, if there is problem of food processing industries where you are not able to convert it into something which can be stored for a longer period of time, a lot of produce gets wasted. Okay, so that element is always there in agriculture. Yes, Abraham, what is your question?
Yes, I just want to ask about how is this policy enforced in India? You know, India is, of course, very large. How is it enforced in
Yes.
India? Because, you know,
Okay.
the middlemen, the farmers, the market is something that is huge to enforce. This kind of policy is very difficult to be enforced in Nigeria, honestly.
Yes.
And that is why we are facing much problem when we have bumper harvest,
Yes.
especially tomatoes. During the bumper harvest, it used to be very cheap, and
Hmm.
when it is scarce
Hmm.
later in the year, it will be like 5 times the price of the during the bumper harvest. So how
Yes.
is this policy being enforced?
See, that's a very good question. Even with us, as I told you, that generally, if I'm buying tomatoes now, it is costing me, I'm just telling you in Indian terms. So, generally, if you buy tomatoes, it must be around rupees 10 or 20 rupees a kg. Okay. And I should say 1 month back, we were buying for maybe a month or so, month or 2 months, we bought tomatoes for 120 rupees a kg. That was the amount of price difference. So what happens is, for every crop or everything, we cannot have a minimum support price because it's not possible. But for example, you have food grains. The problem is always there for fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, but if you talk about rice, you talk about wheat, you talk about pulses, you'll find in these areas the minimum support prices works better because we don't find these prices fluctuating that much. Fresh fruits and vegetables are prices where there is a lot of fluctuations, but if you see, we will not find the fluctuations which happen when we are talking about rice and wheat. Do you agree with this statement of mine? Is there a fluctuation in the price of rice and pulses and this as much as it is in vegetables?
Not at all.
Yeah, Nelson.
No, please. The prices of cereals are quite stable than the prices of vegetables and fruits.
Yes. So that's what, see, what happens in terms of vegetables and fruits is, as I told you, that storage is a huge issue. So if it is scarce, and you cannot say that we don't need it. There's a particular, initially only I just mentioned this, that, for a household, suppose I say in a month, in a week, 1 week, I will consume 1 kg of tomatoes, I will consume 1 kg of potatoes, I will consume 1 kg of onion. Now, whatever the price, I cannot just not buy it because it's an essential commodity, it's an essential vegetable. See, there might be some vegetables which we can say that, okay, it's okay not to buy it. When the price goes down, we will buy it. Okay. But things like this, the onion, potatoes, tomatoes, are basic food, essential food commodities. The problem is we can't store them. The problem is if they are not in production, still I need to buy it. So I'm willing to pay whatever price for these kind of commodities. But rice and wheat and pulses, which can be stored for a very long period of time, you'll find their fluctuations are minimal. So that is how the minimum support pricing policy works, that it is more in those area rather than in areas of fresh vegetables and so I hope that was clear. I hope that is clear to all of you. Yeah. Okay. Now we come to the key players in agricultural sector. Thank you. The moment I see the thumbs coming up, I know that everybody's listening and able to understand. So it is a good motivating factor also for me to continue with the course also. So here, the first area that we talk about is the merchant middlemen. As I said, these are the people which are needed also but very harmful also. So if you have somebody who is really looking into making a lot of money on their own, then middlemen become a big problem, because they are not uh, they will not look into the gains of the customer or the farmers. They will just look into their own benefits. So here, the first person or the first category who comes is wholesalers. So what these people will do is they will just buy everything from the farmers and buy it from everybody and keep it. So for them, sometimes, as I said, suppose the rural area is little far away. Now, for a farmer to actually come till a city and sell it is very difficult, and you don't. These people will not have, the transportation means to get things. So what happens is the wholesaler goes to the farm and he'll probably buy the entire produce of that village. So all the farmers will sell it to this one wholesaler. He takes a huge truck, or he takes a different whatever is possible to go into that village, because many of the rural areas you cannot even take these kind of vehicles. You might just have to go by a bullock cart or this. So the wholesaler goes to this particular village and he picks up the entire produce of that village and gets it to an urban area. From here, what happens is it goes to retailers. So the retailers will directly sell it to the final one. So you might have a vegetable shop, you will go and buy it from the wholesaler and you will sell it. So if you see here, what has happened is, before we reach the final customer, there are so many steps. So there's a farmer, there's a wholesaler, there's a retail seller, and then it is going to customer. So if you see in these 4 steps, now the farmer has made it for 5 rupees, the wholesaler sells it for 10 rupees, the retailer sells it for 15 rupees. So the customer is actually paying so much rupee extra. If you directly buy from the farmer, you might get it for maybe 7 rupees or 10 rupees, but you are paying much more because it is going through so many intermediaries. So ultimately, agricultural produce becomes difficult because we have so many intermediaries who are paying for it. Okay, just give me a second. Sorry. So this is what happens. So you can understand how much the prices are going up, because so many people are there as intermediaries. The next people we have is the village merchants. So village merchants are retailers who go from one village to another to another. So here we are cutting off the wholesalers. We are directly coming to retail merchants or village merchants who will be going from one place to another. And then we have a very important thing, that is Mashaka horse. This is a different term. And these people only deal with fruits and vegetables. So they are not dealing with grains. So mashaka kurs are people who will just be dealing with fruits and vegetables. They will not go and buy rice and pulses and other kind of grams. They will only go and target into buying the basic fruits and vegetables. So this is the system where we talk about the merchant middlemen. Okay, then after merchant middlemen, we have the next, which is called as the agent middlemen. So if you see, agriculture we always think is a very simple system. It is actually not that. It is a huge complicated system where there are so many people who are involved. So when we talk about agent middlemen, we have two, that is the commission agents and we have the brokers. So commission agents are basically wholesale markers only, and they will be buying and selling goods, but they will take a certain commission. Now they're better than the merchant middlemen, because merchant middlemen will take a whole lot of money, whereas commission agents will say that okay, if it is 5 rupees, 5 rupees, I will sell it for 10 rupees, but I will take maybe 2 rupees here, and I will give you 3 rupees, whatever the amount left. So he's just taking a small commission. So he's definitely better than a merchant who wants to take away a lot of money from the farmers. Okay, same as the broker. They are generally they just bring about the link between the farmers and the customers. So here they are working on a smaller sum of money, so they are not spending they are not taking away a huge lot of area from these people. Okay, so this is the advantage where we talk about different key players of middlemen. Then you have speculative middlemen who will want to this is very interesting, so let me talk about it. Speculative middlemen. Now, what are speculative middlemen? They are people who will, the whole problem which was of hoarding, which we just talked about. So, they will take a certain amount and they think that, okay, the price of onions is going up. So, what I'm going to do, I'll immediately go and buy quite a bit of it and keep it with me. So, when the prices are going up, that time I will start releasing it into the market. So slowly I will release it, and I'll be careful, because if I suddenly start buying selling everything in the market, the price might go down again. So slowly I'll start releasing the stock in the market. Now a produce like onion can stay for quite a long period of time, so for that it might work, but it will not work for tomatoes or any other fresh vegetable. So here, even for grains, I can create an artificial shortage and slowly start releasing it in the market, so that I get very high prices for the produce. So this is a very harmful thing, because see, what I'm doing is artificially I'm creating a shortage. There's no shortage. So many times it happens that people will say that so much production was there, why is the price rising? The price is rising because you have artificially created a shortage. And if you have artificially created a shortage, you have brought about the prices going up. And if you are managed to have the prices going up, after that you are slowly releasing the product into the market. And what is happening is that you are getting a huge amount of profit. So these kind of people create a lot of problems for people, because as a consumer I will be paying a huge amount of money, the farmer will not be earning, all the profit is going to the middle. Okay. uh, and the last that you have over here is a processor. Now, who is a processor? He will say that he will ask people for a particular amount of goods. So he's not buying the entire produce, but he'll say, I want this much amount of a particular produce that you are making. And these people, from, if it is a large scale business, there can be number of people the person is selling to. If it is a small scale farmer and he has a small farmland, he has nothing, no option but to sell it to the middlemen, or if it is possible for him to directly sell it, he will do it. But generally the distance between the villages and the towns is more, so for them Sorry, as I told you, my internet is a little problematic. So, one second, I'm just trying to share the screen again. Okay. So, I hope you can. I'm audible. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
really
audible
sorry
now.
because, as I told you, it's raining too much here.
Yes,
So,
that is good.
yeah, one second. So, what I was talking about is that, the different kinds of people who are there and how it is working. So, I hope that portion is clear to everyone. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. So that is basically about agriculture. So I just want to know, do you have a lot of middlemen who are there in your country working, or do you have good markets where you have direct contact with the farmers? How does it work in your country? Is it the same, similar systems, or do you have these many kind of categories, or do you have a lot of hoarding? Actually, that is what I want to know. Do you have a lot of hoarding in your country where agricultural produce is concerned to artificially raise the prices? Yeah, anyone?
Of course, in Nigeria, we have a lot of hoarding by the middlemen. To some extent,
Hmm.
they decide to connive with the farmers in such a
Okay.
way that they will release few products or produce to the market
Hmm.
so that the
Okay.
price will go up
Hmm.
and they will sell at that higher price.
Okay. So you think it is with the farmers, Khalid? Is it?
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
that is.
at times with the farmer. What I mean by with the farmers is that when the farmers harvested their produce, especially vegetables, when they come to the market,
Hmm.
maybe in mass, then the
Hmm.
middleman will call them and said, look, if we allow this thing to be in the market now,
Hmm.
definitely the price will go down
Okay.
and you're going to sell at loss. So it's better, let's hoard maybe 50% of the produce and release only 50% to the market so that the price will be in a bit higher.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
you feel that the hoarding happens at the farmer's end in your country?
Not really, not really at the farmer's end.
Hmm.
It's from the middlemen. That's why I said it's the middlemen that are now conniving with the farmers so as
Okay.
to hoard the produce.
Okay, that is
And
very
certain
interesting.
yes.
Yes, please continue.
Okay. Okay. So
Hmm.
actually the reason why usually farmers agree with them is that they don't want the price to go down
Hmm.
because they will sell at loss at loss. So that's why they usually agree with the middlemen to hoard some percentage of the produce so that the price would be higher in the market.
Okay, yeah, because and what about the minimum support prices? Do you have minimum support prices in your country?
Actually, I cannot say we
Okay.
have something like that.
Okay, okay, yeah. So that's why I thought that was a very interesting new policy, and this is very interesting because in India, whenever we talk about hoarding, it is more at the level of middlemen. Because for farmers, generally, the farmers are little poor in India. So from their end, we don't have so much of hoarding because they generally want to sell their produce. The more problem happens at the end of middlemen. Yes, Ibrahim.
Yes, I just want to say that we don't have
Yes.
price minimum price program here in Nigeria,
Okay.
but the where we had issue is the marketers and the middlemen. The farmers sell their produce to the marketers, who bring it. The middlemen are not. They don't have the commodities. They don't have. They don't go to the farms. What they do is they control the markets. They like what my colleague said. They ask that they mediate between the sellers and the marketers. So they control the number of commodities in the market so that the price will go up. And at the end, the price continue to go up for a very long time. And they make a lot of money while the farmers don't make such profits.
And what is the government support system then you have over there? Means what is the government support system for farmers?
Yes, so that is usually the government support the farmers through subsidized fertilizers, farming implements, and seedlings.
Uh,
That is
but
what
it
the
is not
government do. But
in terms of prices.
yes, yes, in terms of regulating the price, we don't have such policy on ground. It's an open market, so we do suffer from this whenever the bumper harvest is passed.
Okay, okay, yeah. So that is quite a different system, because in India, for farmers, we generally have a lot of agricultural policies and support systems for everything. Like even for the fertilizers or loans or buying their produce. So a lot of support is there from the government. Yes, Sifo, you would like to say something?
Yeah. If we take in the context of Malawi, uh,
Yes.
we do have both. The hoarding
Okay.
happens
Hmm.
mostly on the middlemen.
Hmm.
Normally, what they do is go to
Hmm.
the farms during the harvesting
Okay.
season
Hmm.
and buy them at a cheaper price and hold them until a certain time when the prices are up. So, as you said, it's like they create an artificial insufficiency of the produce and sell them at a higher price. Uh, if we talk about the minimum price, yes,
Hmm.
the government says in Malawi we call it as farm gate. It's
Hmm.
like a government. It will set the minimum price of certain produce. It could be like maize, soya, rice, beans, all that. So
Hmm.
it will set the minimum price of for that, so that and anyone else who wants to buy
Hmm.
should not buy at least that amount. But it doesn't normally happen. Most of the times, uh,
Okay.
farmers will always sell at a lower price than the minimum set price by the government.
Yeah, that's I think that is something which happens in India also. Like I said, that the government has put in the policy where there's a minimum support price, but many times it happens that the farmers feel who's going to go till the town again, go through the whole process, because there is a process. See, whenever we talk about government doing anything, it is not that you just go and they say okay, come and I'll give you the money immediately. It's a long process. So generally people, the farmers, want to sell the goods directly if possible, or through middlemen if possible, because they just feel that I immediately need the money. It's not that I can wait for the government to process the payment. And normally any government payment will come to you, but it takes a longer time duration. But for farmers, they don't have that much of available time. Like as I said, that the moment one farming season is over, they have to start preparing for the next one, so they need to immediately buy things. So many times, even if the government is willing to help them, they do not actually reach out and go for this minimum support prices or try to sell their produce to the government. That is something which generally happens. Yeah, Isaac, I'll come to your question also, and after that I will start with the next point, that is the new economic policy. Now, you have asked me what is the difference between agent, middleman, and processor. Now, agent middleman is basically representative of clients. They do not own the product, means they will not buy the product themselves. So, what they do is that suppose there's a large farmer, so they represent the large farmer, and they will find out in the city or in another market who wants to buy. So this farmer will directly send the things to that particular retail outlet. Okay, like in India, there are many supermarkets which are there, and these supermarkets need the things. So what they'll say that, okay, there is a demand for maybe 50 kgs of potatoes, so you can send this directly there. So they are not actually going and purchasing it from the farmer, but the farmer is directly sending it to the supermarket, but this person is facilitating it. So his role is more as a facilitator. Whereas when we talk about processors, they are the ones who are going to hire agents to buy for them. So processes are that I will hire one person, that person will go and buy things for me and get it at a lower price and get it for me. And then I will sell it at a higher price through another agent. So here I am hiring different people to do the work for me to get something from one place and sell it to the other one. So that is the basic difference between these two. Now I come to the next point because I want to complete this portion today. Very important, we come to the new economic policy. And if you see, the new economic policy also that we start with is 1991. And after that, we come to the next policy, which was in 2014. We come to a policy which was there in 2020. And we also come to the new initiatives which have been taking place in India. And what I think, if you hear Indian news and all, you will hear a lot about all these new initiatives or different kind of policies that has happened. So when we talk about the 1991 policy, there are three terms which come up very, very important. LPG policy. So you have liberalization. Second term is privatization. And the third term is globalization. So it is called as the LPG policy in India, and it is probably, as I told you, 1991 was a phase where we just turned around. So everything just drastically changed for India. So all the systems that we were following for years and years, we suddenly made a big difference to all of them. So that is where we talk about the LPG policy. Now, what was liberalization? Liberalization was, we said that let's open our doors for anybody who wants to come into new industries, new economy, anything people want to do, let us allow them to come in. So as I told you there, industrial licensing was taken off. So except for atomic industries and railways, everything else went to people. Everybody could come in. Airlines started generating, industries started generating, everything came in. Foreign direct investment came for 51%. So lot of positive things came because of liberalization. The whole concept was that let us open our doors to private sector, let us open our doors to people. Now in this context, I'll just tell you, we have always been a mixed economy. So generally we have had private and public sector. But when we started with independence, we were more towards socialism, because the government needed to support the basic development of the country. So even the heavy industries, agricultural sector, everything, the government tried to control and bring it better. And slowly, when we came to this 1991 policy, we started moving towards capitalism heavily, because now we started opening our doors and we said, let private sector work more efficiently and let people get employed in that. Because ultimately, with a population of our size, you cannot expect the government to continuously provide everything, like so much of employment and revenue generation, and keep creating industries, etc. So this was a very important step, because it took the burden off little bit from the government also, and it gave an opportunity to all the people who wanted to do something. Okay, so very good industries came up, and very good investments came up, and the quality of the goods in India improved. Even the internal goods, see, if you're very comfortable with producing a certain thing in your country, because there is no competition, you will not after a certain point want to improve its quality, because okay, they have to, people have to buy it from me only. But the moment I open competition in an economy, what happens is everybody now knows that, oh, I have to be careful, I have to produce better quality goods, otherwise I'll not be able to manage in the economy. So you want to become better in every area that you are dealing with. So that is a very important thing about liberalization. Privatization, what happened was, many of the industries which were initially owned by the government suddenly went into private control. So the government tried to bring about areas which it had closed initially, even airlines and all that also. Initially, the government did not open it, but after a certain point of time, the government released it that we will allow private sector to come into this particular thing. Then we talk about globalization. Under globalization, all the import prices, the import duties that we used to have, that if you wanted to bring something from another country to India, you wanted to directly order, it was generally not allowed. So if I want something from UK, I want to buy some garment from UK, I was not allowed to do that, because of the amount of procedures, the amount of restrictions. Even now, I'm not saying that it is totally taken off. No country will do that, but still it has become better, because all the international brands have come into India and established themselves. Earlier, you could just find more of local brands, and very few things used to come in. But in today's date, if you think, if you go to our markets, you'll find it is flooded with things from all over the world. So naturally, we have opened the markets. The quality of goods internally and externally are much better. The prices are better. It has generated so much of employment opportunity. Foreign investment has come in. So this was a very, very important policy. It changed the face of India. So that's why 1991 policy is a benchmark policy. No other policy has been able to beat how the 1991 policy actually was. Then we come to another policy which is very recent in its being, when we talk about the 2014 policy. So if you see, there's a huge interval between the revolutionary policies. So the last one was in 1991. From there, we talk about the next one, which is there in 2014. And here, generally, it was that we wanted to promote more of foreign trade. So the policy that we talk about, there were two important things, that we wanted to start with selling our things all over the world. We wanted to establish ourselves in the international market. See, 1991 policy was to invite people from outside to come into India. Okay. We wanted to make our mark outside, but more so that policy focused on getting people from outside to be interested in India. And there's a very interesting word which we used to use for India, that it is a sleeping giant. A sleeping giant in the terms that there is so much possibility of demand, there is so much possibility of growth, there is so much possibility of supply, production, everything. Okay, so you find many international markets are saturated because there is so much overput production of their goods. They are looking for new markets where they can sell their goods, and India is a huge market. So there is a lot of potential for development in India, for or selling things in India. So that's why a lot of things are coming. In fact, now recently with the new education policies, we are even we will be allowing maybe foreign universities also to set up their units in India. So uh, there is a lot of things happening over there. We are promoting people to come in. Like that's what I said. The difference between the 2014 policy and the 2000 and the 1991 policy is 1991 policies we opened our doors that please come in, and 2000 policy is we opened the doors so that we could go out. I hope you can understand the difference between that. And these both doors are very important because it is not just a door is not just meant for people to come in, a door is also meant for people to go out. So that is what we look forward to when we talk about the 2014 policy, where we wanted to encourage people to make their production and make it of that standard, that we are able to set a mark of everything all over the world. So generally, this concept came in Make in India. So we wanted that, if you see, I think you all will also agree. I don't know how much of war goods and other goods are made, but in India, many times you're still dependent on different areas to give you better quality ships and better quality arms and ammunitions and aircrafts. And sometimes you end up buying something which is not needed by a country at a very high rate. So you need to start producing all this in your country if your security conditions have to be strong. And what I mean by this, and I think you all can read through history, is that till date, India has never invaded or attacked another country. Okay, it has responded if somebody has attacked us, but we by ourselves have never gone there. So we just need to be I'm not visible, Isaac, you cannot see me, is it?
Yes, mommy, I can see you.
Okay, because you wrote that comment, that's why. So okay, so I hope you understand that we when we talk about a solid force, it does not mean that you are solidifying your military to attack people. It is to protect yourself. Okay. um, uh, how many of you agree with this concept? It is not that we want to, and just see the situation. Like if you read the news now, what is happening with Israel? Okay, so it is not that I want to go out and fight, that I should have a sword. It is because if somebody attacks me to defend myself, I should have that sword or that protection. So that is important, and that is when we start talking about making goods within our country. Do you agree with me on this? Because many countries want to go and attack others, whereas I think Indian policy has always been peace. We have never done it in our entire history, if you see. So I think that whole goes for your country also, as far as I know about history. Isn't it so? I think that's a correct assumption on my side. Yeah. Okay. So if you see, ultimately, we are all very peace-loving countries. We are not aggressive countries like others. So when we talk about these kind of things, like we want to have Make in India policy, so we want to be self-sufficient. We don't want to depend on others to give us things. So tomorrow, it's like, um, not having not having any utensils or anything to cook at home. So what happens? You're forever dependent on somebody providing food from outside. Now, one day the person says that, sorry, I can't come today. What happens? Do you stay without eating food? So what you want to do is you want to have the utensils to cook. That is what I'm talking about, Make in India. Or, we have something called as Atmanirbhar policy. That means we want to be self-sufficient. We want to trade. We want to have connections with other. We want to collaborate. But on the other hand side, we feel that we should be self-sufficient within ourselves. So that is a very nice policy and a very promotive policy, which is coming in very strongly in India. And it is a policy which tells us that at the end of the day, we are there for others and we want to be friends with all over the world, but we want to have our own things also. It should not be that if some country tomorrow says, I can't sell you a certain thing, that we don't have it. We should be able to produce it and do it on your own. So that was a very important concept which came in. After that, I'd like to talk about one, two more things. So you have uh, another very important policy which came in is Swachh Bharat mission. Now, Swachh Bharat mission was basically taken out by Prime Minister Modi, and this was a cleanliness drive which was taken, that somehow with the country, you know, somewhere we should say that when we talk about environmental degradation, so much use of plastic and so much use of other things, we want our country to be neat and clean and have this as a mission. Now, it might seem odd. I don't know how your country is, so I hope I can visit someday. But what I'm saying is, currently I don't know. But in India, because there's so much of population, and it is sometimes difficult to maintain that degree of cleanliness. So for this regard, they started with Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, so that all the cities and the waste management could be dealt with in a better manner. Okay, so even with rural communities, even the problem of toilets is there, that they do not have money to invest in creating a toilet. So that also the government is looking into. It might seem like a very basic thing, but these are difficulties which are there in many parts of India, when you have people who are not able to do this. Yes, I would definitely like to visit Mauritius at some point of time, and I will definitely reach out to you, Zora. That's so nice. Okay, thank you. So this is again another policy which we talk about, which is Swachh Bharat mission. Do you have anything like this? I want to know, because these are different terms that we are talking about. Then I'll just complete these two, three. Then I'll take inputs from you all, and you can tell me what are the new policies that your government is coming up. So we have Stand Up India. The Stand Up India is again a very important policy, and this is, in India there is a very huge caste system. So this is against the caste system in India, that you give opportunities to the backward classes in India to come up. So the backward classes and women, there are a lot of schemes which are there to help them start their own ventures, and they are given easy loans till around 10 lakh rupees, so that they can start some work on their own. And this is generally for people who are below the poverty level, who are not able to get work easily. They do not have farmlands, and they're looking for an opportunity to do something. So that is coming under the Stand Up India policy. This is also a very nice and very new policy that we have uh, come up with. Okay. Then we have the National Food Security Mission, which I told you that there should be zero hunger. Everybody should sleep with a full stomach. I think, I personally think that is the most important thing that we can do for people all over the world. These are the main important things which we talk about. That is your zero hunger, a house for everyone, and water and sanitation facilities. I think this, any human being, any human life deserves this. Uh, and it is sad if somebody is not able to get this. So that much minimum, I feel that every individual has a right to, and any government should always push for that. Then we also have something which is called as the Smart City Mission. The Smart City Mission is like, I belong to Bangalore in India. I hope you've heard that city. It is called as the IT capital of India, and we have a lot of IT companies, and basically Bangalore is the IT hub of India. So a lot of people from all over the world have their units over here, and a lot of Indians are working for that. So we find that over here, when we talk about infrastructure, yesterday I was mentioning, if you all were there, that in the middle there was such heavy rainfalls, means it rained continuously for one day, very heavy rainfalls for the complete day. And I told you that everything was waterlogged and nobody could move out of their house. Some areas totally, even a first floor house went underwater. That much amount of rainfall was there, so heavy. So what happens is, how is the government or how are others able to manage it? So if we say it's a smart city, means your technology should be very fast, your Wi-Fi should be very fast, waste management system should be excellent, you should be able to give affordable housing. Many of the smart cities in India actually become very expensive cities. Food is expensive, the house rent is very expensive. So when we talk about a smart city, we want to say that you are able to provide housing also at a low cost. How can you do that? When there is adequate amount of things, the prices will be low. The moment there is scarcity, the prices are going to be high. So if you are able to provide things at a low cost, naturally you will find that the city can have a lot of benefits. Majority of the things happen through digitalization. So whether you talk about banking system, whether you talk about money transfers, whether you talk about paying your bills, a lot of these things should be digitalized, so that it saves time and effort for everything. And most importantly, in today's date, we talk about sustainable environment. So you are not wasting things, you are not wasting the resources. You are seeing that somehow you are able to bring everything at a proper way. Then Really sorry today. I don't know. We really have an issue today. Yeah. So, anyways, we have nearly finished with the portions. So, I would like to ask you all, what are the new steps that are there in your countries? So, last 10 minutes, I would like to hear from different people. What are the new steps which your government has taken recently to bring about development, or is it similar to what we have in our country? Is it similar to what we are doing? Yeah, Khalid, can you tell us? Mostly similar. Yeah, Mr. Ravi, can you tell us what is new? You from India? Yes. Anyone else who can tell me, at least let me listen to some. Okay, from Mauritius. So, what are the new policies that you have there, which you can actually talk about? Any new initiatives by government? Yes, Zohra? Yes.
Protecting our marine and terrestrial ecosystem.
Okay. So, what exactly is the government doing in this return? Means, is there any basic policy?
Yeah, encouraging the sustainable development.
Hmm. So, is it for the marine life also, or for the people? Okay, yes. So, fine. So, any other new things that you feel your government is doing for you all to start any new ventures or something? Because, like I said, that some of the policies which we have started is very new. Okay, we have buy Malvi policy, which encourages Malvians to buy Malvian produced products. Okay, so that is something similar to make in your own country policy. Okay, but are you getting different encouragements? Like in India, we have these export promotion zones. So in an export promotion zone, we tend to uh, you know we tend to produce things which will 100% be exported. So do you have SEZs in your country, export promotion zones, or industrial areas which are 100% linked for exports? Means these areas do not actually sell anything in the country, they sell everything abroad. Okay, government has upgraded road networks, metro, to reduce traffic jams. Okay. Any other thing which I talked about? Do you have economic zones where you produce things which are only for exports? That's also a very important policy in India, where everything that you're producing is going abroad. It is not remaining in your country. Yes, Abraham, can I hear you? I'm just asking some people because it's nice to hear some people tell me something. Yes. I hope you all are here. So, yes, Isaac, please tell me. The same, okay. The government's encouraging the adoption of new technology policy for vast growth in sectors of economy. Okay. So, do you have the smart city concept? It's a very interesting concept in India, because the moment we label a city as a smart city, we try to bring about a lot of changes. So, in Yazora, how many cities in your country do you have which have been marked as smart cities? Any idea? Which can you mention some of the cities? Like in India, Bangalore definitely comes under the smart city concept, and a lot of things are done. Like you have the metro connections coming up everywhere, and sometimes it is problematic also, because when they're doing the construction work, it is very difficult for us to keep moving from one place to another, and there's so much of chaos. But at the end of the day, you have very high connectivity with everything, and generally the Wi-Fi, digitalization, and no cash economy, all these things are working out quite fine. And I think you all will agree that uh, and that's why I want to know what is happening there, because in India earlier, people did not want to go into digitalization or cashless economy, and poor places also did not have a very strong banking system, like I told you yesterday. But post COVID, what has happened is many people have, in fact majority of the people have gone to online payments. So even a very small shop has started with Google Pay and all this. So that is one positive effect, you can say, post COVID, that we have moved to a cashless economy to quite a degree. So that's one big advantage that we have. Okay. Yeah, we have one smart city under construction, but it's not owned by the government. Okay. Yeah. No, the city will not be owned by the government, but maybe the construction process is being done by them. Is it so, Sifo? Mocha Grand by, yeah. Mauritius benefited from trading blocks and economic agreements. Yeah, correct. In Nigeria, we have Ajuba Jubilee City. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, that, uh, is it so in your country also that post COVID, we have come to a lot of cashless transactions, or was it always there in your country? Do you have things like the yes, Ibrahim, please tell me.
Yes, recently in Nigeria, 2022 and early 2023, the government adopted a cashless policy push
Hmm.
to because they discovered that we have this large number of cash in the economy, and the government mop up two-thirds of the cash, and
Hmm.
encourage that, push people to adopt this cashless policy, and it worked in some ways, in the sense that there was this labor strike recently in
Okay.
Nigeria. 2 days
Yeah.
warning strike to the government on some economic issues, but
Hmm.
most people, even in the rural areas, did not feel the
Hmm.
impact of banks closed, and some businesses closed because of these cashless
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
transactions that we engage in. So it worked, but we we learned it the hard way. It was not easy, but
Okay.
it worked. Yes.
Okay. And what do you think when we have gone to, as most of you have also written, that we have gone to a cashless society to a certain extent? It's not complete, but it has improved. Do you think that it has led to lesser amount of corruption in a country when we talk about?
Yes, yes. In Nigeria, especially, is
Hmm,
because the cashless system
yeah.
um, comes with less exposure for corruption. But
Yes.
the politicians, the vendors, contractors,
Hmm, hmm,
and even marketers sometimes, they are pushing back. They don't want this cashless policies because
yes.
they
Correct.
benefit from the from the old policy where they make money through other ways,
Yeah.
through corrupt practices. But
Yes.
the cashless policy is really improving. We have seen much improvement, especially in this 2023, and
Hmm, hmm,
We are moving ahead. We are moving forward.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
get there.
it's very true. Yeah, Khalid, you would like to say something? You've raised your hand.
Yes, sorry for the other time you called me. I was away
No, no, no problem. Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, let me add to what the last speaker has just said. That's Mr. Ibrahim on the
Hmm.
cashless policy. Of course, there are so many policies by Nigerian government, but the issue is
Hmm.
that usually the implementation has been the problem. For the
Hmm.
cashless policy, actually, it was a good policy by the government, especially to reduce corruption and, of
Hmm.
course, to reduce the cost of printing the currency. Yeah, the
Hmm.
government learned that actually what is in circulation is 1/3 of the
Hmm.
total money in circulation, or what the government printed and allow it to go around in the economy. So this
Hmm.
indicate that some set of people hold that money and keep it at home, usually for political activities. So that's why government said, okay, let's even go on with the cashless policy, and at the same time, let's even change our currency. But even
Hmm.
though, as he said, there was a lot of resistance by the labor unions, and at the same time, even the citizens, because Nigeria is one of the populous country, and the infrastructure is not that effective. So for you to
Hmm.
transact at times online is a problem. The
Hmm.
network is fluctuating. In some places, the network is not even there, talk less of data for them to transact. So that has hindered that cashless policy. But however, it's still on the process, because as I'm talking now, this year,
Hmm.
you can withdraw more than I think 50,000 naira per day. That's using either ATM. So you can withdraw more than that. So you can, but you can transact, maybe you can transfer online and so on and so forth. Then another policy recently is the subsidy removal, which
Hmm.
also is trying to protect, or maybe to correct this issue of subsidy, because government also learned that, and even the citizens testify that people,
Hmm.
maybe the marketers are the one enjoying this subsidy on fuel. We are producing, or we are among the producing oil countries in the world, but
Hmm.
our refineries are not working, so we have to export the crude and import the refined. And in the
Hmm.
process, government always tell us that they are spending trillions of naira in subsidizing these refined oil or oil
Yeah.
coming back to the country. And
Yeah.
the
But
bulk of the money is going to the pocket of the marketers, because
yeah.
in the what they usually do is that when government asks them, okay, bring this forward, the refined one into the country, we'll pay
Hmm.
you what you are spending on that. Then they will now divert maybe 50 or more than 50% of the of the refined oil to the neighboring countries. Niger are also enjoying that, Cameroon, all these countries bordering Nigeria. So in
Hmm.
the long run, government is subsidizing not only to Nigerians but to other neighboring countries. And that's
Okay.
why government said, okay, we are removing it. And they have removed that, even though there are a lot of hardship in the country. But the truth is
Hmm.
that it's better, because government is only reaching some set of people, which is the marketers. And also there is a policy which is somehow similar to what you have said earlier under the foreign trade made
Hmm.
in India. In Nigeria also, during the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, has also
Hmm.
introduced this policy of uh, indigenous content adoption. It is a
Hmm.
policy that is saying that, okay, Nigerians have to patronize home made goods.
Hmm.
In such a situation whereby some certain goods are even precluded from importation into the country, just to ensure that, yes, Nigerians patronize homemade good. That's Nigerian made good, which is somehow similar to what you have said under your foreign trade in India. Thank you.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. That was quite a
Thank you.
good description of so many different things. So, if you see that a majority of us, I think, as countries, we are going on similar tracks, because I think the development of our economies are also quite similar. That we are going into the process of being developing countries. To developed countries. So, yeah, there are two more comments which I'd like to read, and then we'll try to finish the class for today. So Isaac has written, we have the smart city concept, and it's good, though it's also creating an increase in unemployment rate as institutions are shifting and transitioning from old forms to all operations. See, I always believe, Isaac, that there is one stage of chaos before we come to order. I mean, so this is not in your book. It's something which I strongly believe, that we will always have a certain phase of chaos before we come to order. So that might be the phase when we are moving. So as I told you, that you want new infrastructure, you have to go through the chaos of the roads being dug up, and traffic being blocked, and things. But at the end of that phase, you will have that proper infrastructure. So that chaos has to be borne by the people to come to a phase of development. Okay. The second is CECPA between Mauritius and India, as from 1st April 2021, boosted the rate of economic growth once again. Yes, Nirmal, that is a good. That's why when we are collaborating together with different countries, we can do a lot of a positive thing. African continent forming part of G20 is a benchmark, definitely. That's a very, very important step in the correct direction to development for all of us. Okay, so with that, we will finish today's class. So I will probably, I don't know, see you next week, or the week after. So please go through whatever we have done. And if there are any questions when I see you next, we will definitely talk about it. I hope you could understand everything in the class, and you found it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was clear, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But when are we getting the notes and the PowerPoint?
Very clear.
You must be having the notes which are there from IGNU coming to you. That's why I have followed those notes, only because if I went outside those notes, I think it would have been a problem for you all to understand the Indian systems very much. And that's why I have followed those notes. So you can just go ahead with those notes. I think you'll be able to clear it now.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Have a good day, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
ma'am. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.